Yeah, what's going on, everybody? What's good? It's your boy Rob, aka Roboto, and I am back after a long hiatus, a long time away, to inform you that Madden 21 is upon us, and especially Madden Ultimate Team as it pertains to me right here, right now in this video. Coming up, we have some footage from the Madden 21 Ultimate Team stream that they had. Live streamers Jake Stein, Agent K, they went over a whole bunch of stuff. We'll see a couple videos on the channel today about that, but this video in particular, we're going to take a look at the card art and some extra MUT stuff, they like to call, as far as it pertains to solo battles and things like that. First off, the card art, everybody was complaining about it, so now we get to look at a little breakdown and see how it actually looks in Ultimate Team. And then the extra MUT stuff, it's kind of some stuff that we've been used to, level masters, solo battles, things like that. But before we jump in, if you're new here, definitely hit the subscribe button, hit that little dingly, hit that little bell, lets you know when I am live. And then we can go and explore the Madden 21 season and year together. I'm planning on probably doing no money spent. I'm gonna have some other interesting series that we're gonna dive into and look into as far as content for Madden 21. But yeah, like the video if you haven't already. If we hit 20 likes on this video, we'll go hot right off the bat and open up a bundle, our first time going into Madden 21. So sit back, relax, check it out. This is going to be some of the footage, like I said, from the live stream that EA did today or tonight, whatever it is for you. And they're breaking down a bunch of stuff. In particular, this video is going to be card art and some extra MUT stuff, so check it out.
I know something that you're very passionate about is this thing they call card art, or player item art that we talk about, and it's something that I know you've been working on for a very long time. And I wanted to take an opportunity because you've seen some comments out there from the community, wanted to kind of paint a picture of what's been being done, because we showed stuff for Madden 20 earlier on in Rookie Premiere, right? But that's just like that's really early on. We've put together kind of just a new item layout, which I'm going to go ahead and start pulling up right here. And just for those people that are watching this on the stream, Jake and I are going to be referencing probably multiple monitors because we have a full run of show. And when I say run a show, it's like all the information I'm showing you here, Jake has that, so we can kind of follow and talk through that, as we're not completely sharing our screens while we're doing this stream. So what I have right here, Jake, that I kind of want to talk about is the first image that we're going to see is the Ultimate Team. It's called like the player item guide. Walk us through that real quick here. I'm going to leave this up here while you talk to that.
Yeah, I mean, let's even maybe start a half step back from that, and
sure.
Like, this was like why did we choose to go after this year? It's been a good like probably 4 years since we've really touched what the front of the frame looks like. And one of the things that we really wanted to dig into, and a lot of big credit goes to the art team, our UX folks, was just taking what we had and kind of deconstructing it, and kind of like noticing all of its flaws that's has been there over the years. And with every year it seemed like we were adding yet another thing to the front of the frame. Last year's example being like the archetype icon, and I kind of joked that, hey, I worked on this game and saw those pretty much every day, and if you were to give me a pop quiz on it, I would fail it miserably. So more and more things just kind of started to get on there, and so it was our opportunity to go in there and kind of break it down and see where were some of the misconceptions. We did UX testing. We also did our own sort of like self-analysis on it, and we kind of came away thinking, like, again, one, there's way too much that's like on top of the frame itself,
for sure,
as well as in some cases too much iconography, and in other cases not enough. The main one that I'd pointed to, and the one that I wish that it was a little bit better last year, was the amount of passive or superstar abilities that a player had. Like last year, with the way that the layout was, you could just put the number of abilities that you had on there versus like the specific abilities that were equipped on there. And so that kind of, again, drove of what the initial conception was for, you'll probably hear me refer to as like the 50-50 version of it, where it's half of it's art and half of it's informational. And so what ended up happening is that was the thing that we knew that we were going to go ahead and build first, knowing that we still wanted to have another view of it, of like, we know, like, obviously the art team puts out amazing content. We want to be able to pay that off. We knew that players were also going to want to continue seeing that get paid off. I mean, we just invested in a feature last year where we let you choose what art actually shows on the front of the frame. So, but you know, then life started to happen, right? Like, so we go and we build the 50/50 and we get that in, and then COVID hits. And now we're all, you know, in scramble mode. We're working from home. Not to get into like what does a gaming development cycle look like, but at some point you are feature complete and you hit alpha, and like that is what you have, right? And so at that point, 50/50 is what we had. And you know, I kind of talked about some of these extraordinary efforts from the team. This is one of those, you know, and while the hashtag that was trending out there was not the reason of why like we had to go back to the drawing board and figure it out, like the good news was we already had the design, we already knew what we wanted to do. But what that hashtag and what that, you know, kind of, sentiment from the community did was make sure that if there's any way, shape, or form that we can have this in for when we launch the game, we need to do it. And thankfully, you know, a month ago, give or take a week, we were able to get this in. And so when we kind of talk about it at a high level, and there's some exceptions to this rule, but at a high level, if you are highlighted on a particular player or item, that is when you're going to be in that 50/50 view, with the thinking being that's when you're typically going to want the most information about that specific player. And then anything that is off of highlight is going to be, I might call it this 80/20 view, again, where it's kind of more 80% of it is the art. And so we feel like it's the best of both worlds, where again, you can get that information and kind of take it in easily, while also still making sure that there's a way in there that we're paying off, again, all that great art that the team is pumping out.
Cool. And what I did, you know, Jake, while you were talking, I was showing players kind of like that player item guide where they see the 50/50. And then I also showed them the Lamar Jackson image that we got, you know, yesterday that shows the 80/20. And I think at the end of the day, I mean, if we're all honest, UI, you know, the expression of kind of card art that's out there, it's really important to players. But at the end of the day, last year was extremely confusing. I know I brought that up several times, where it's like you have all these iconography everywhere and it's not very clear. And I know Nando, you know, he is very focused on UX. And I think a lot of times when we think of UX, user experience, UX, you got to make sure it functions well. People can understand that kind of stuff, and that transitions into the UI at the end of the day. You can build a beautiful UI, but if it doesn't function well and you really can't understand different components of it, it gets really messy. Now, I'm not a UI or a UX expert. I've worked with a few, but at the end of the day, you really want to be able to make sure that the person that's looking at something, they can kind of understand what's there. And let's just be honest. I'm going to go ahead and show this other image that you gave me, which was the M20 unfocused and the M21 focused. And just talk about that, because when you actually look at what we had in Madden 20 and where everything was kind of jumbled together, it was very confusing. And what you guys are taking, the approach that's been taken is very different. I'll go ahead and change between this and also kind of like the player item guide that we had earlier. So if you want to talk a little bit about this, I'll go ahead and switch between both of these.
Yeah, no, I mean, you go in there, and one of the things that I didn't mention that, you know, the art team was, quick to point out when we were like, hey, we have this opportunity to go back and try to make this, look a little better, was that kind of like dark scrim that you see kind of just around, you know, the outer portions of the frame. You know, while sure you can see, you know, in there, and it's technically, you know, if you have a piece of art, it is there in the frame. It is not like this, you know, completely, you know, unfiltered view of it. And so like that was another thing when we were able to go in here and really take a look at it. That was, you know, oh, well, you know, the things that we may have needed that black scrim for 5 years ago no longer exist. We can go ahead and take that out. And then, yeah, like you mentioned, you know, a lot of iconography on here, a lot of things that maybe aren't going to show up as, player facing features, but like, for the most part, when you see things like an LTD stamp or a power up stamp, or, you know, that those are things that either is being done on the art or is kind of a messy process for the content creators themselves to make sure properly gets put on the art, versus now when you see the power up and then that stamp, it's actually much easier for our content creators. They're just, you know, kind of going to one specific column and saying this particular item is power up eligible, and then cool, programmatically that now gets sent down to the frame which is, you know, again, one of those things that might not show up to the end user, but from an efficiency standpoint and making sure that we're trying to have the least amount of errors reach production, that's a nice kind of quality of life when that certainly went into play when conceptualizing this.
Got it. Yeah, and you can see right here, I'm going to show kind of like the community, the 80-20 or 78%. You know, you see this right there with Lamar Jackson, and then we kind of go back to the player item, guide. I think it shows a lot of that stuff that you were talking about, where we see, the position, we see the archetype. We also understand the X factor and the passive abilities on the players, the chemistry multipliers, the stamps and all that kind of information. So it's definitely from a UX perspective and information perspective properly displayed. We're even going to talk a little more about even like the back of the player item, right? That's even changed, but we'll get into that in a minute. So those are those images right there that I showed. The next image I have, Jake, is actually inside the item binder where I'm highlighted on Aaron Donald. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? I think it's probably to showcase what we were talking about earlier, but feel free to talk through these two images I think that I have here.
Yeah, it's that whole highlight versus non-highlight concept. The item binder, one of those places where you're going to find it. So again, you can see on here, you are on Aaron Donald. You're in that 50-50. Everybody else in here is in that 80-20. And as you can see, as you scroll over to the Bobby Wagner, he also now kind of transitions to that. Aaron Donald goes to that 80-20. So you'll find that here in the item binder. You'll find that in the lineup. You'll find that in pack opening. So, a lot of places where you're going to kind of see this. And again, hopefully it feels like a nice balanced blend. I know there's a lot of feedback, a lot of really passionate folks out there about this. The one thing that I would just ask is, hey, get your hands on it, play with it, give it a week, give it 2 weeks. And, if you still have feedback about it at that point, absolutely fair game. It's something that, we'll continue monitoring. You always do a great job of making sure that we understand what that feedback and sentiment is. And that can kind of inform future decisions.
Yeah, I know, like when I got my hands on the build and had an opportunity to kind of play it a lot more, at first I was a little bit shook. I was like, there's no back of the player item. And I got a little frustrated because I'm like, I can't capture things right now. It's becoming very difficult for me. And then as I started kind of going through kind of the new design, it made a lot of sense to me. It's just somebody, who's just very detail oriented, and just likes the flow and likes information in a certain way that's categorical. It made a lot more sense for me. So there's also the lineup screen that I do want to highlight real quick here. I do have one part that you guys can't see, but we'll talk about that later on in the stream. But you'll see right here, I do have Aaron Donald highlighted as well. And this kind of layout has it's there so people can see what's going on in that space. Now, speaking of all that, let's talk about the back of the player item, Jake. This was the part that kind of got me a little frustrated because I was trying to capture things the old way, and then we realized, and huge shout out to Paige, who's been working with our art team to figure out exactly the best way to get the information out there, because we're going to talk about kind of how the assets that you guys see on @EA_Sports_MUT will display information. But right here I have the Aaron Donald screen. Let's say I go ahead and open up a pack, and then when I open up the pack and I go ahead and click on that item, I'm going to get all these options: compare, promote. So talk about this. It just seems a lot, and we have 3 tabs. Let's walk through all this.
Yeah, so I mean, what's funny about this was, again, when we made the choice to go after, updating what the front of the frame looks like, it also was kind of made the right timing for us to go back to a design that we had, basically 2 years ago when we brought upgrades into Ultimate Team. This was the initial design kind of all along, and at the time we were only able to get the upgrades portion of it. So this whole back of item feature is something that has actually been kind of designed out and planned for a little while now, and we were able to kind of go after and attack it this year. So yeah, when you're taking a look at that, I feel like I kind of most relate it to almost like a franchise full screen player profile look. And we've taken what used to be 6 tabs on the back of the item. It's now consolidated down to 3, because again, now that you're utilizing that entire screen, you're able to get more of that information on there all at once.
Got it.
So here you can see you've got all your particular actions that you would normally have, anything that the player might be eligible for, whether that's auctioning, trading, quick selling, all that good stuff, as well as all the history of how you earned it and the description. And again, we keep harping on this a lot, not to pick on archetypes, but like, yeah, it's like, here's the icon for archetype as well as the spelled out version of exactly what you got going on here. And then if you tab over, you're now into the attributes screen, and that's again another place where you're getting all that information right at once, including those key attributes. Everything that kind of makes sense to kind of highlight what's the top line, information that you're going to want about a particular player. You can find it here. Then you can scroll down to get even more of that additional information. Very small thing, but a thing that I always think is funny to point out. Weight is now a thing that you can find while inside of Madden Ultimate Team. Again, super small, but let's throw out all the info that we can. And then you're just on it over in the upgrades. That one is mostly unchanged. The main one that I would call out here on the upgrades tab is sort of like this timeline view. You're now able to get a little bit more information, especially with power-ups. Something like a core elite doesn't have necessarily the deepest upgrade path, but when you start to get into a power-up, as you were to start scrolling over to the right, that total cost that you see, and right there you see it's just a 5. Oh, okay, you have it a little bit here. That's a little bit more of what the view looks like. But if you were still highlighted up there, it would actually tell you how much training you need in total to get there. Now, I know the next question is going to be, does that mean it's just a one button click? No, it's still unfortunately not a one button click, but you are able to get kind of more information in terms of, I need this much training. I need to make sure that I have this many items before I go and actually start that upgrade path.
Cool. When we're looking at those images, is there anything else, Jake, that you want to talk about regarding the new item layout? Because one thing that I'm noticing on here is we got this AP thing on there. And I do want to talk about that as well. I know something you're very passionate about. I know you're laughing. It's more of an inside joke. There's somebody out there. It's not Gibbs, guys. Not Gibbs. Not Gibbs is always giving Jake a lot of hassle on just certain things. But we love Not Gibbs, even though he's not here. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about other MUT stuff. So this is where I'm going to run through some things. I'm sure you guys are going to have some questions about other MUT stuff, and that's like solo battles, house rules, weekend league, MUT dedication, MUT levels, EA Play, which is formerly EA Access. For those folks that don't know, EA Access kind of it changed the name to EA Play. Earlier today there was an announcement. Solo battles will be coming back. My understanding is that it will probably be there. We'll find the date. So we're still trying to get some information on the dates. We'll get the information and we'll tweet it out. Let me double check my calendar here, and I just don't want to be mistaken by when I say it happens. I believe it will either be coming out. I'm going to confirm. I'm not going to say anything, but solo battles will be there. We'll let you guys know. Also, MUT dedication will be back. So if you do your weeklies and you do your dailies and your daily engagements and MUT level, you'll find all that information there as well. You guys have seen these objective lists before. The objective lists are pretty much the same. You'll complete these and whatnot. And then you'll also go ahead and get your daily missions. You can complete those to get various items. Now, talking about MUT levels, this is something the community just loves to talk about. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. EA Access is going to be happening on August 21st. I know there's a lot of stuff out there that you guys are seeing that says maybe it's August 20th. The official date is August 21st. If things happen earlier, we'll make sure to let you guys know. We're just being told August 21st. We're going to stick with that date. I also know that EA Play or EA Access Origin, they kind of have unique stuff out there. But again, just a heads up, August 21st is the date we're told. If anything changes, we're going to be happy to tweet that out to let you guys know so you can go ahead and get involved in the game. So here are just some screenshots. Level 7 is when you're going to go ahead and unlock your MUT. You're going to go ahead and unlock your level master. That's, I think, when you get your Andre Johnson, you'll get your master token. These are just some screens. I only took a few for you guys. Like I said, I don't want to spoil it. Level 10, you got this power-up pass. You're going to still have those premium exclusive store offers that are out there. And then I took a screenshot of level 50. Why? Because everyone wants to know when you get level 50, you're going to get a power-up pass. If there's unique store offers and other things, I do not know. I don't have any information on that. But what I do invite you guys to be a part of it. If you guys are EA Access members, which we call it now EA Play, you can go ahead and play these exclusive early access challenges. Huge shout out to Elliot and Joey and trying to get all this stuff up there to earn a random elite player. These challenges expire at 11:59 p.m. Eastern on August 24th, so don't miss your chance. So again, there will be some ultimate challenges there during EA Access. I know you guys are going to be wise and trying to use your time. This is one of those things that you'll be able to go ahead and get ahead of the curve when it comes down to getting like a player item for your team. The other thing I'm going to talk about real quick here, Jake, is loyalty. A lot of people, there's a lot of questions that you guys may have that we're not going to answer all in this stream. We'll be checking out on @Madden NFL Direct. We'll tweet things out as we get information. Some of the questions that we went and we asked the live service team to understand what was going on. Loyalty. So last year, if you guys were part of the Madden Rewards MVP program or loyalty program, if you played Madden in certain years, you got a fantasy pack that had 6 players in it, or it had a various amount of players. That's going to happen this year. So if you played Madden 18, you played Madden 19, you played Madden 20. So let's say I played Madden 18, 19, and 20. I'm going to get 3 of these packs with these players. I'll show them to you that you can go ahead and choose from. So, but let's say you just played Madden 18. You decide, I ain't playing Madden 19, definitely not playing Madden 20. Then you're just going to get something for Madden 18, kind of thing. So,
and specifically during that product year. So
yes.
It's like you can go get Madden 18 tonight and be ready to go. Like it had to be played during that time frame, but everything else, yep, you're on the money. So yeah, in that case, if you were to play all 3, you're gonna get 3 of these packs. They're the same pack, but there's 6 players in there, and you can choose, one of them in each of it. So they're all 82 overalls. So if you get, these packs, don't choose the same person. Go ahead and choose 3 different people to help your team out.
Yep. And so I'm just running through these. So we have Andre Whitworth, we have DeMarcus Lawrence, we have Darius Leonard. I think I showed, Darius Leonard, Emmanuel Sanders. We have Mark Ingram, and we have Patrick Peterson. So just wanted to share those with you guys, give you guys a little bit of a heads up on what's going on. I'll cycle through them backwards for those people that may have just missed them.
And probably super obvious to folks watching this, but these are the non-auctionable tradable version of the core elite. So what that means is you can put this into that particular player's power up and kind of satisfy that requirement as well.
Good stuff. Jake, you know what? Something's happening in Holiday. It's not content, it's actually consoles. Let's talk about that. People have been asking a lot of questions regarding console transitions. So, we know with next gen, we're going to have these new consoles. Talk to me a little bit about that and kind of what the approach will be for Madden Ultimate Team. I know we put a little teaser out in the article with some information. I know there's still more information to come as we're working through those logistics, but just to give some of our players some information, can you talk about that?
Yeah, no, it's important to level set with players. And so we can talk about some of the key things. And as you mentioned, we will have an additional blog or post later on. But the last time when we go back to the last console transition, the way that we kind of handled that was you had a one-time push of your content. So whatever, if you're playing on PS3 and you wanted to, whatever you had at that time, you took a snapshot of it and you pushed it to PS4, and that's kind of how you continued your Ultimate Team journey. This year, it's going to be a little bit different. So everything that's in your item binder, everything that's in your, kind of top user bar, things like coins or your points, those are all things that are just going to kind of live in the same ecosystem, if you will, no matter which particular, console that you're on. The key thing here, though, is that you do have to stay within the same console family. So an Xbox One needs to go to Series X, and then the same thing for a PS4 going to a PS5. That's kind of how that rules. You can't cross families in that regard and still get sort of the same benefits.
Got it.
But yeah, so anything that you do at that point is one-to-one. And so again, let's think of a kind of a crazy situation where you go and you make the transition something happens, you leave it, or hey, I'm gonna leave my PS5 at home while I take the PS4 to grandma's. Like, you can do that, and then you're just gonna be able to pick right back up with exactly where you were in your Ultimate Team.
Got it. So they'll coexist, it sounds like. So your
will
coins,
coexist.
your training, your points within the same family of the console, all that will transfer over and they'll coexist at that time. So, okay, that's good to know. I really appreciate you taking the time just to answer that question. We've had a lot of people asking about that. So, and like when we get closer to next gen, we'll definitely share more information with you guys through the Gridiron notes. We'll be sharing it through streams and all that kind of stuff as we kind of ramp up. We'll start, just throwing a plug here for Good Morning Madden. We'll start on August 28th. And we'll kind of be back to do that stuff and whatnot. I'm trying to think, Jake, is there anything else that I'm trying to have that Steve Jobs moment, you know, where it's like one last thing.
One more thing. I don't think I have a one more thing. You're gonna have to pull the one more thing out for me if I'm just blatantly forgetting about it. The thing that I'm remembering is how we promised everybody we wouldn't be going 2 hours this year, and we're clocking in at 1:15 now. So
yep, exactly.
That's what I have.
7:44. I'm looking at 8 o'clock to get skedaddle out of here. What I do want to talk about is ratings. So a lot of you guys are probably wondering what's going on with ratings. Can we see stuff related to ratings? You know, we went ahead and tweeted out like the top 3 MUT players per a team. That was out there earlier today. Huge shout out to Paige for getting those assets created and also helping with that. Huge, shout out to all the people on the social channels doing various things there as well. The top 7 MUT players were tweeted out the day before. We've been working with MUTHEAD, and they've always been just great at kind of getting this information out for you guys. I want to highlight one thing, guys. MUTHEAD will tweet out from their channel when they are ready to go ahead and get this out there. They're trying to get this out to you guys by tonight. So granted, you could at MUTHEAD and just tell them, hey, what's going on? But they're working with our teams to get this out there for you guys. Huge shout out to Rockets and a lot of those folks behind the scenes that we've been working with. Always a pleasure. And whatnot. I'll come back to this while we close out the stream to leave this up there. The URL is there. It's www.muthead.com/21/players. They'll have the elite players. They'll have, gold, silver, bronze. I think they may have some of the program players we talked about here as well. So definitely go check that out.